Hello and welcome back to the second video in our ASAP debate series. This video is going to focus on the resolution. As we discussed in our first video, in debate, a resolution is a statement that gives us a clear topic. The resolution makes sure that we know exactly what we're debating. It should have a very clear purpose. It should use very precise language. And when we talk about debate topics, or when we talk about debate subjects, what we're really talking about is what resolution are we debating? Resolution comes from politics. It comes straight out of the debates that they used to have in the British Parliament, debates that they still have in Congress, in the House and the Senate. And so it's got a very long history. And that's why we keep using the word, even though it can be very confusing. Resolutions are part of the ways that we get proclamations, new holidays, and even the way that Congress tries to amend the Constitution. Today, in addition to learning a little bit about a resolution and how to break it down and read it and understand it, we'll also go into how to come up with arguments, because one of the challenges of debate is simply that you have a very short time to come up with a lot of ideas. And hopefully this video is going to help you practice doing exactly that. Let's look at a sample resolution. Resolved, the voting age in the United States should be lowered to 14. First of all, that word resolved, that's just official language. It comes straight from the government. It's in all of the resolutions that governments adopt. So that word sounds big, it sounds important, but it's actually just a formality. What we're really interested in is these key terms that we can define, like voting age. What does that mean? What's voting age? And why is it important that it means in the United States? And is it necessary that it says be lowered? So first, what is a voting age? Well, you could do some research and find out that voting age is just the age when you can start voting. It's the minimum age when you can vote. Okay, that's important. Now, notice that we have to be talking about the United States. We can't be arguing about the voting age in India or the voting age in the United Kingdom or the voting age in Brazil. Nor can we be talking about the voting age in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia only. We need to be talking about the whole US and just the US. So that's important for us to keep in mind. It's also important for us to keep in mind what sets the US voting age. Where is that written down? And you could do some research on this, and you might find out that actually it's in the Constitution. It's a constitutional amendment that sets the voting age. You might also wonder, what is the voting age now? It says it's going to be lowered to 14, so that implies that it's now higher than 14. You might already know what the voting age is, but if not, some very quick Google search, and the research would tell you that the voting age in the United States. Can you guess? It's 18. You need to be 18 to vote in the United States right now. So that's a pretty big difference, 14 to 18. 4 years, but it's 4 years in a very young person's life. Okay, last thing we need to notice is who is doing the lowering? Who is actually lowering the voting age? It doesn't say. In debate, we talk about the actor in a resolution, like who should do this, and this resolution isn't specific about that at all. What that tells us is that whoever wrote this resolution didn't think it was very important to specify an actor. That could be because it doesn't matter, but more likely it's because they want you, the debater, to have the flexibility to argue about different actors. Should this be Congress? Should it be the states? Should it be all of us together, the American citizenry? Ultimately, it's up to you what you want to suggest. All you have to do is convince the judge that your idea is correct. All right, so we've analyzed the important definitions here in this resolution, but there's one more word that we need to look at, and that is should. Should is what we call a weighing mechanism in debate. And what that means is it's telling us how to decide the round. It's telling us how we choose who wins. It's important that the resolution says the United States should be lowered to 14. The voting age should be lowered. The fact that it uses the word should is significant. It's different from if it used other words. For example, it doesn't ask whether the voting age in the US can be lowered to 14. So it doesn't matter whether this is possible or not. It only matters whether it is right, whether it is what we should do. It also doesn't ask us whether this would benefit specific people. We can't just focus on, would this benefit 14-year-olds? Would this benefit Americans? Would this benefit random people? We have to focus on what should happen, which means we focus on everyone. On the other hand, we're not using a very strong term like must be. This isn't about what has to happen, it's what should happen, even if it doesn't. And it's missing a very common debate phrase like on balance that would tell you that you're weighing up positives and negatives. You're not doing that here. Again, you're only looking at what should happen. So that means that moral arguments, ethical arguments, arguments about what is right, what is just, what is fair, all of those are fair game. We don't have to just focus on arguments about money and laws and very specific, concrete things. We can be talking about big ideas in this resolution. Can you imagine that we can get all that information just from one little word? But this word should is telling us what pro has to prove in order to win this round. And con, on the other hand, needs to prove that the voting age should not be lowered to 14. It's not enough for con to show that it's hard to do this, or even impossible. It's not enough for con to prove that it's not necessary. Con has to prove that we should not do it. It is a bad idea. And that is how we can analyze a resolution to figure out exactly what it takes to win. All right, we've analyzed this resolution together. Now it's your turn. What arguments could you use to figure out a case for or against this resolution? Let's start with pro. I want you to pause the video and come up with as many arguments for the pro side, that is, in favor, as you can. When you've got your reasons, you can unpause the video, and I'll see you right back here. Welcome back. I'm going to share some of the reasons I came up with. Let's see if you came up with some of the same. So, when I was thinking about this, one thing that came to me is that young people are affected by political decisions. School funding, school policy, vagrancy laws, even just regular policies around working and taxes and public transportation all affect you. So you should have a vote on that. Also, speaking of work, we trust 14-year-olds to work. You can get your working papers at 14, so why can't you vote? Also, this would get people involved in politics and civics early. It would get people voting early on. And in the United States, that would be a good thing because we have a really big problem with people not voting. One solution would be let more people vote, let them vote earlier, let them develop a voting habit. Finally, this could be a big part of a civics education. 14 to 17-year-olds are all in school, and they have teachers who are trying to teach them about our society and our government and how it works. Being able to vote could be a really useful part of that education. And they would have teachers who are helping them learn how to exercise that right to vote responsibly. In some ways, that puts them in a more responsible position than, say, a 22-year-old who hasn't thought about civics or US government since they graduated from high school. So I think that we could also make this civics education argument as a decent argument for this resolution. Now, you might be thinking of some other arguments, and that's great. It's really cool that we can have so many different ideas about one sentence. But I want to warn you about a certain type of argument. Look at this one. Young people can make responsible decisions. That sounds like a good argument. And it is, but not for this stage of brainstorming. There's a couple issues with this argument. Can you see them? So, one problem with this argument is that can doesn't mean should. Just because young people can make responsible decisions, that doesn't mean they should vote. I mean, French people can make responsible decisions, but that doesn't mean they can vote in US elections. I think it's important to note that it's not enough to say that this could happen or it could be okay. It needs to be the thing we should do. Also, who said they couldn't? This is really an argument that responds to somebody else's argument. But nobody's made that argument yet. You don't know what your opponent's going to say. You're essentially feeding that argument to your opponent, that 14-year-olds aren't responsible and can't make responsible decisions. Trying to deny that 14-year-olds are irresponsible before anyone's even accused them is very suspicious. That's why this kind of argument is what we call a defensive argument. In debate, we want our arguments to do what is called generate offense. You might hear experienced debaters say that phrase. It means your arguments need to tell me why we should vote for you, why you should win. It's not enough to explain why you shouldn't lose. So let's look at the other side. Remember, in debate, you have to be prepared to debate both sides of every argument. So let's look at the con side. I want you to pause the video and try and come up with as many reasons why the voting age should not be lowered to 14 as you can. When you're done, unpause the video, and I'll see you right back here. All right, welcome back. Again, I'm going to share some of my ideas with you, and we'll see what you came up with. So one idea is that at 14 to 17 years old, your brain is still developing. You're not a fully formed adult yet. And for that reason, the legal age of adulthood in our society is 18. So it makes sense to make sure that adults are voting and keep the age 18. Also, most 14 to 17-year-olds are still dependents. They're still living with parents or uncles, aunts, grandmothers, guardians. They're being taken care of, which seems like that's not the state of someone who's ready to vote yet. You're still being protected from knowledge of the world. You're still not finished with a high school education. We expect everyone in this country to finish high school education, and that's one of the places where you learn how to be a responsible citizen. So you could argue that 14 to 17-year-olds aren't ready yet. Finally, one argument is that when you're 14 to 17 and you're still a dependent, you're very open to adult influence. If you're living with your parents, maybe your parents are just going to tell you how to vote. Maybe your teacher's just going to tell you how to vote. Maybe your family will get together and get all the children to vote the way they want. It seems unfair that a mother or a father should get extra votes just for having kids, right? Now, just because I'm writing these arguments down, it doesn't mean I personally believe them. They're just ideas. Let's try ideas on another resolution. Again, I want you to see if you can come up with as many ideas as possible. Here's the resolution. Resolved. Homework should be banned. So think. Should be. We have should again. Again, it doesn't tell us who's banning the homework. And you all know what homework means. I'm sure you all have opinions on this subject. Try to think of as many ideas as you can for pro and for con. Pause the video, and I'll see you back here when you have your ideas written down. All right, welcome back. I have some ideas, and I'm really hoping that you have some great ideas as well. One idea that I come up with was just that stress. Homework adds a lot of stress to kids, and kids are under a lot of stress these days. We also want kids to get enough sleep, and staying up late doing homework doesn't help that. We also want kids to be well rounded and do other things besides school, and homework cuts into that time. Jobs. Kids have jobs, kids need to help in the home, and it seems unfair for some kids to have to help their family or earn money while other kids get to focus only on school after school. And for that reason, making sure that everyone has their time after school free might lead to extra fairness. Finally, homework is sort of different from the job world when you're an adult. You clock in and then you get to clock out and go home. Taking homework home is making school a little bit less realistic for comparing it to a job. On the other hand, for con, homework can teach responsibility. Homework teaches you to manage your time and to remember your responsibilities. Homework also allows for a shorter school day because if you didn't have homework, you would have to do that same work in school. So you'd have to stay in school for longer. Maybe you didn't think about that, did you? Homework also just means more practice, more opportunities to learn. And learning is good, right? We want kids to learn. That seems like an important idea. It also helps you remember. Remember, homework isn't just for after school, it's also weekends and vacations. It's very easy to forget everything you've learned over a long vacation. Homework helps you stay in practice, so it helps people remember what they've learned. Finally, homework, you could argue, is actually good for fairness. You see, I bet if we banned homework, a lot of privileged families would still make their kids do extra learning after school so that they could get a competitive edge, get into better colleges, and get scholarships. They might even hire tutors or after school programs to give their kids homework. So, if we want kids in less privileged school systems to catch up, to compete with those more privileged kids, we need to make sure that we're giving them a chance to learn outside of school. We're just never going to be able to catch up if we can only use 6 hours a day to teach and learn. That's actually an important thing to think about in debate. Oftentimes, the same principle can be used for both sides, and you want to look for ways to turn things on their head. For example, the job argument. I would argue that many jobs actually do make you take work home after school. It's actually very common. As a teacher, I work at home all the time. I have a lot more homework than you do, probably. And you might have seen your parents or your family members working after they
All
come
right.
home from work.
So I think one of the best ways to practice with analyzing resolutions and coming up with ideas and arguments is to play a game. It's a game that I like to call 5 Reasons Why. It's a really simple game. All you need to do is have one person come up with a topic, with a resolution. And then everyone takes the time they need to come up with 5 reasons why that topic is true. And then 5 reasons why that topic is false. 5 reasons for pro, 5 reasons for con. This is a really simple game that for coaches who might be watching this, or teachers or parents, this is a game you can play at any time. It's a great way to get a debate team to practice generating ideas on their own for fun. But also, if you're just a student who's looking for some debate practice and you're stuck at home during quarantine, this is a game you can play with yourself. You can just Google debate topics and see what the internet feeds you and play 5 Reasons Why solitaire like that. So, what's going to happen next is I'm going to show you a series of resolutions that I've picked out just for you. And this is your chance to get an introduction to this great game, 5 Reasons Why, and to learn a little bit about resolutions and practice your idea generating skills while you're at it.
All right. Next resolution. Resolved. Single-gender schools should be banned. So this resolution is talking about all boys and all girls schools. And you need to come up with reasons for the pro. Why should they be banned? Not just are they good or bad, but should they be banned? For the con, why should they not be banned? Pause the video, think of reasons, and I look forward to seeing you when you come back. All right, welcome back. I hope you came up with some good reasons because we're going on to the next resolution real soon. Okay, this resolution resolved. For most students, history is a more important subject to learn than science. Let's see you get 5 reasons why. And remember, we're talking about most students, and the weighing mechanism here is most important. What is a more important subject to learn? Pause the video, think of 5 reasons for pro, 5 reasons for con. I'll see you when you get back. All right, welcome back. I hope you came up with some great reasons there. This is the debate that I actually had when I was in high school. I'm not going to tell you how it came out because we're about to go on to our next resolution. Resolved. Intelligent robots would be more dangerous than helpful. So, do you think that having super intelligent robots would turn out more like Terminator or more like a cute little helpful bot like WALL-E here? Pause the video, think of your 5 reasons why, and I'll see you when you come back and unpause. All right, welcome back. I hope you came up with some great reasons. I wish I could see them. Next resolution, resolved. Video games should be considered art. So the question here is, first of all, what is art? Why should things be considered art? So think of your reasons why video games should count as art, and maybe 5 reasons why they can't. Pause the video, and I'll see you when you come back. All right, welcome back. That's one that I've seen a lot of students get very heated about. So I hope you had fun engaging with that. The next one is a little bit more political. Resolved, on balance, billionaires hurt society more than they help it. So now we have those special debate words on balance. So we're not trying to say that billionaires only hurt society. We're not trying to say that they only help society. We're trying to say that they do more harm than they do good. If you're on the con side, you're trying to say that no, actually they do more good than they do harm. See, you got to keep them straight. So think of your 5 reasons. Pause the video. I'll see you when you come back. Welcome back. So the next resolution is resolved. The US government should provide free internet for all. That seems pretty timely right now. I think a lot of people are realizing how important internet can be. So think of your 5 reasons. Pause the video. I'll see you when you come back. Welcome back. I hope you came up with some great reasons. The next resolution is resolved. Cell phones are more harmful than beneficial to teenagers. So notice again, we're talking about, is it more harmful or more beneficial? You don't have to argue that it's always good or always bad, just that the bad outweighs the good, or on con, that the good outweighs the bad. Also notice we're specifically talking about teenagers. I don't know if you personally have any feelings about this topic, but I hope you can come up with some great reasons. Pause the video. I'll see you when you're back. All right, welcome back. I'm sure you came up with some great reasons for that one.
All right. So at this point, you've gotten a very lengthy introduction and a lot of practice into understanding resolutions, into analyzing them, into brainstorming ideas for arguments. I hope that you had some fun. I'm sure that you learned a lot. And the next time we come back and we meet with the third video in this series, we're going to look at how you can develop those arguments into fully developed contentions. I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, happy debating.